I call the ISD 701 School Board meeting to order, April 20th, 3:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. I'd like to welcome everybody here. With that being said, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance if you wish. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. With that, we'll move to item 3. It's a motion to approve the agenda. With that being said, we're going to appoint Director Polcher. He's our pro tem. We're going to appoint him for this meeting only as the clerk. We'll have 2 members absent.
I'm honored.
With that, motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polcher. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Then we'll go to item 4, motion to approve the consent agenda. Moved by Director Polcher, supported by Director Egan. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Excuse me. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. With that, we'll move to item 5. Excuse me, public comment. Looks like we have one.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. Miss Brown that would like to speak on media.
Just for a few rules, not be libel, slanderous, or legal issues.
Yep, thank you. My name's Melissa Brown. I'm just going to chat about media, and I just kind of want to put something out there for everyone is when you watch TV or when you are out in public and looking at things, does the media manipulate you sometimes to want to buy something that you normally wouldn't, or something you see on your social media feed that continues to pop up and it makes you want to purchase it, right? And I just want to put that in your thought of the story that I'm going to tell and what we promote in our schools and how it affects children. So it's about my own children, and we're taking a car ride, and my youngest son my middle son talks about how he is really frustrated with the 2 gentlemen making out outside his locker, by his locker. And my husband is a teacher here, so he says, well, who is this? And, have you brought it to your teacher's attention or to the office? And he states names. I'm not going to state names. But then we get into another discussion because these 2 people think that they are both boys and that they have a gay relationship. But one is a girl who identifies as a boy and the other one is a boy. And I am not discriminatory about anyone. I have gay people in my family. I'm addressing this from a mental health standpoint and how what we put out there affects the mental health of our children. And I want you to look at this as a mental health standpoint because these 2 people think they have a gay relationship. But I have to explain to my children that they have a straight relationship, that this is a woman with a vagina and this is a man with a penis. But they both think that they are males. And what we promote in our school is super confusing. And then it goes to our home front, and I have to explain beliefs. We are born one way or another, and like I stated, I have family that is gay, and I have no problem with that. But when we promote it in our school, are we addressing maybe there's mental health issues with children, and they don't know what is going on. We're going through puberty, we're going through everything else. And when we have things in our school that promote us to think elsewhere, and you walk into classrooms and you walk into offices and there's things placed on desks and flags up to represent a minority population, which is fine. A lot of us don't talk about having a straight, being straight, believing we're born what we are born, and push it down people's throats. But when we push down throats that maybe you are something you weren't born, when kids are going through a confusing time as it is, and then these are the things that concern me. When you have two people who are a straight relationship, but in their mind, they are not. And are we helping these kids and making sure that there isn't other mental health issues going on within our school? So just like the media, I really encourage our school district in our classrooms, in our hallways, in our offices, that we aren't promoting something because that's what we feel like we need to promote, and we need to get back to educating our kids and not bringing political things and our own beliefs into the classroom. And we need to go back to the basics of educating our kids, and we really need to step forward and really start taking care of the mental health of these children. Because at this point, I am not comfortable continuing to send my own children here, and I have to go home and I have to have that conversation with them. Because that is super confusing. Super confusing when my children believe that that is a gay relationship when it's a straight relationship. And either side of the field would agree that that's a problem, and it's not okay. So we need to stop promoting our own agenda, or whatever you want to call it, within our school district, and we need to get back to educating our kids in the proper way, and we need to take the other stuff off the table. And this school needs to start really focusing in and honing in on mental health from kindergarten through 12th grade. Thank you.
Excuse me for 1 second. We were, I believe the superintendent and I, when MSBA had a conference, there were a couple of legal sessions on this, and we've got a package here that tells administrative guidelines for supporting transgender, gender, etc. students. Some guidelines to go by, so I think the superintendent can go over that again and see where our curriculum or what, if there's something wrong or right. It's a tough situation, but
It is all around, and like I said, I'm not here to discriminate against anyone. I'm just really here to address things that I'm having to address in my home that are coming up, that my own kids are confused what is what anymore, and that's not okay. And it isn't. And with the furries, my cousin is a high school student in here, and she showed me a video of a child walking around in our high school with a bird head on, a yellow bird head. Like, why is that allowed? Like, why are we letting kids think that they're animals? Like, that isn't healthy. Like, you were supposed to be born an animal. And I can, if anyone on this board wants that video, I can get it to you. Sitting in a classroom, walking around a classroom with a big bird head on like Big Bird. That's not disruptive to students, and why is that allowed here? You know?
we'll take that all under consideration. We won't have any back and forth discussion on this, but superintendent will look into it.
I'd just like to bring up that we had talked about this at our last meeting, and I think we're looking into the legal aspects and the legal steps that we can take to protect the rights of those students. And yes, it's not right for a child to walk through these halls assimilating that they're a dog or a cat or whatever they want to be, but we have to go by what their rights are and what we can do as a district. So I think the superintendent is looking into that.
And Chair Berkowitz and board members, and to the members of our community, I just want to point out that this district has invested substantial funds in the mental and behavioral health of our students. So I just want to set that record straight.
Right, we're working on stuff here, so thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move to item 6, personnel. Superintendent Rick.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Item A is a motion to accept the resignation of Catherine Brow as the junior high boys basketball coach effective April 4th, 2022.
So
Support.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Item B is a motion to accept the resignation of Eric Kuznin, industrial technology teacher, high school, effective June 3rd, 2022.
Or
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director Egan. Any discussion?
have we sent out, we're going to try to replace this guy? I know it's hard to find.
Yes, so
teacher,
if the board accepts his resignation, Trina will post tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item C is a motion to adopt the resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teacher contract of Nicole Fagerstrom, a probationary teacher at the close of 2021-2022 school year.
So moved.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by the board chair. Any discussion?
Yes, Rick, you just kind of go on record, explain why we're doing these. Is that possible?
So these, the item C, item D, and item E are all related to, each of these individuals hold out-of-field licensure. So we're required to non-renew them and repost the position. They all are working towards the correct licensure, but they don't have it yet.
So in other words, it's procedural.
It is a procedural item, yep.
Not,
Right, it's a formality, something we
right,
have to
just
do.
just for the record, so people know that
Yeah.
these people are not being terminated or
That's a
some
good
other
point.
reasons.
Correct.
Clarification is all.
Correct, yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item D is a motion to adopt the resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teacher contract of Carolee Hagan, a probationary teacher at the close of the 21-22 school year.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item E is a motion to adopt the resolution of the termination and non-renewal of the teacher contract of Elizabeth Perry, a probationary teacher at the close of the 21-22 school year.
So moved.
Or
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Egan. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item F is a motion to approve the hiring of Renee Sikora as high school principal effective July 1, 2022.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item G is a motion to accept the resignation of Renee Sikora as assistant high school principal effective June 30th, 2022.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion?
I forgot, Director Berklich, I should have asked on E. I did not receive any of the information concerning her review or recommendation for the principal job.
Sure.
Can I get a copy of it?
Absolutely, and if Mr. Turner is here tonight, Mr. Turner led the committee.
Okay.
That information is in the packet on the recommendation, but I mean, if you had a particular question or the process or anything, Mr.
Just the process, because we want to make sure that we follow the process so I don't
Absolutely,
get in
absolutely.
trouble. Thank you. If Mr. Turner says it's good, I'm good. He's bigger than me.
I could talk about the process if you want.
I'm familiar with the process, I just didn't see the report. I don't know if I missed it in my package.
Yeah, I did too, so that's it.
Yeah, being in the deal.
I'll give you one.
Okay. Thank you, Keith.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Can I go back? You know what, and I appreciate the interview committee. It seems like it was really robust. There were many people on the interview committee, so I was pleased to see that.
Yeah, I may have done it, I missed it, but yeah, I talked to Rick, he said, yeah, everything went, there was a big committee and everything, so thank everybody, like you said, that's good. Item H.
Item H, motion to approve the request for a 3-year leave of absence by Robert Farnsworth effective August 29th, 2022, pending finding a suitable replacement. The leave of absence will be pursuant to Minnesota Statute 122A.46.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director Egan, supported by Director McLaughlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item I is a motion to approve the hiring of Lindsay Larrick as a 1.0 FTE art teacher, Hibbing High School, effective August 28th, 2022. Excuse me, August 29th, 2022.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion?
So just to kind of wrap this, up so the board understands, is we did approve a leave of absence from Mr. Biscup. This would fill that role of his leave.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. With that, we'll move to item 7, administrative reports. Anything from the directors? Jackie, student director?
Yes. So student council is currently planning a spring spirit week that will take place May 16th through the 20th. So it'll be like Jack and Jamboree and homecoming, where we have dress-up days, a pep fest, and other fun activities for students and teachers. But this is the first thing that we planned this spring spirit week. And we kind of decided to put in place to be able to recognize the spring sports that often get ignored towards the end of the school year.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, very good.
And isn't there some type of competition between staff and students? Isn't that part of the day?
Yes, there's
Really?
also a volleyball tournament being planned.
Okay.
That'll take place that Thursday.
Good luck to the students. I'm pulling for it. Thank you.
Didn't tell you that you'd be playing on the other side?
I'm going back to my childhood. Oh, way back. Item B, principal and assistant principals.
So we have Mr. Letzka and Mr. Turner, so whoever would like to go first.
Alphabetical order.
Who's going to go for a half hour? So
No, it'll be pretty quick. So I just want to give the board an update on a few things coming to that we're working on for next year. One is that we have devoted space at both the high school and the Lincoln for day treatment programs through North Homes. And what that would provide students is 1 hour of psychotherapy and 2 hours of skills, and then the rest of their day would be their academics. But we definitely feel like that type of service is needed at both levels. And so one program will service kids that are 7-12, and then Lincoln would be K-6. We conducted interviews. We were able to potentially find a therapist, but unfortunately they took another position. So I'll be working with North Homes to try to fill that job. But we're hopeful that will kind of fill the gap in some of the things that we're trying to accomplish with kids' mental health needs as they continue to increase. And then the other thing that
Can I just add,
yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Letzka? So Nathan and I met with the directors and some of the staff from North Home, and they've just truly been a great partner. Been really easy to work with and have been really responsive to our needs. And this is a need that we've addressed, and they brought it forward. And initially here in the beginning, it looks like it'll be at zero cost to the district.
Right.
Which, when you think about that, they're talking 2 full-time staff members that they would dedicate to this day treatment program at no cost to us. So it's, again, they're being a really great partner to work with.
Yeah, and they've had success within the Grand Rapids. They're hoping to somewhat duplicate that.
Is this being funded by grants or are they actually billing for services?
Well, day treatment, if it's run correctly, is a revenue source for the company. So they are getting some grants that they mentioned to us to kind of move it along, but it necessarily isn't going to live or die from that. So the cap for each program is 8 kids, which isn't a large number, but we definitely know that we have that or more. But we're hoping that we could get kids in, get kids out, or there's a day treatment program in Deer River we partner with on some particular students, and it's been very successful. So we're hoping that will help keep kids in to get those services rather than send them somewhere else. So, but yeah, Mr. Alder's right. They've been great partners with us. They've been very, and then that, in addition to that, they provide mental health support, K-12. So that's been wonderful too. So I'm glad we made that change. And the other thing too is that I wanted to mention, I've been working with a company called Creatively Focused out of the Minneapolis area. They help school districts retain special education teachers. There's a huge shortage in our state and our nation, teaching in general, but also in special ed. So we formed a team of about 10 stakeholders of teachers in various times in their career, and we've worked with that company to kind of come up with a game plan to help our new teachers be successful and our veteran teachers feel that they're getting some support. So they do coaching, they do training with me, so hopefully if I do a better job, the teachers feel more supported. So I'm really excited about that. It's a very reputable company. I'll probably follow up with that the next time I speak about it. Super exciting, super great resources, and yeah, really fortunate that we got looped into that. So thanks.
One more thing, Jessica, and not to put you on the spot, but do you want to maybe just talk a little bit about the sensory room at the Lincoln?
Oh yeah, so before COVID, we had a news story and about the sensory room we have at the high school here. Now that things have kind of settled down, it's being more used heavily now, or more accessible to students. And then we're going to replicate that room in each of the buildings. So next year, we're working on a project at Lincoln to provide our sensory room for our students. And I don't know if anybody follows baseball, but the Twins just put in a sensory space at their stadium for kids. So, yeah.
So some of the board might not remember I know someone took a tour of this room, but you want to just talk the background, what the need is?
Well, yeah, I work with a company called Southpaw, and Southpaw provides equipment and different activities for kids that get therapy at like clinics and things like that. So if you've been to Fairview or rehab like myself at Ascension, they do have different things they do with kids, and it's more address sensory needs, and it's not necessarily for kids that might be autistic, but it could be kids that have anxiety and just need a place to cool down. So it's got different seating, different sounds that come up, and so it's a pretty interactive room for kids. So staff have used it too. So yeah. Pretty cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, you have your meetings there. Well, thank you for having me today. So I just have a few things. We'll talk a little bit about, I sent you the report on our fall and winter sports, and hopefully it was pretty detailed and you got some information from that. Right now, spring sports, we're really up in the air. As you see, softball has had 2 contests, and one of both we were able to go over to Sabi East and compete because they have field turf. Hopefully our field turf gets in and we're able to do that here next spring. Baseball has had 2 contests and they've lost both of those. They are supposed to go to Proctor tomorrow and compete, but I don't think that's going to happen unless Duluth is not getting snow right now. So golf hasn't been out. Track has competed indoors, and hopefully they'll be able to get out and go south to St. Francis this weekend and compete. But right now it's really tough. I'm hoping to get some word from the Minnesota High School League on how we're going to be able to wrap up our seasons with at least getting half of our games played, softball and baseball. I don't know how we're going to get golf. I'm at a loss right now.
Well,
I have our coaches.
As long as you're talking about golf, I got a petition thing on Facebook or whatever today from a group in Minnesota petitioning MSHL to turn golf into a fall league.
Yeah,
is there talk about that?
That's talk. That's mostly the parochial schools in the Twin Cities. They want to move golf to the fall. I don't see that happening because of the students that compete in golf also compete in a lot of sports in the fall, and that would take away from them being able to compete in both. So I don't see that happening unless truly the private schools have their own golf fall league. So I don't see the public schools moving it. So yeah, that's out there, but I don't think that the other thing that's out there, since we're on the Minnesota High School League, there's going to be a big rule change that's going to help a lot of our students. So if you have a student athlete that repeats the 7th or 8th grade right now, they can't compete their senior year because they've used up all their eligibility. Now that rule is going to be changed So their eligibility doesn't start, even if they've competed as a 7th and 8th grader, their high school eligibility doesn't start until the 9th grade. So they'll have those 4 years. That'll be voted on, and it looks like for sure it'll pass May 10th. So we have 2 athletes right now that'll fall into that, so they'll be able to compete this fall as seniors. But they repeated the 7th grade, and right now they're ineligible. So for fall sports, so, but they will be able to compete. The other thing, moving forward, I know that Rick had talked to me a little bit. We are going to be looking to have the section track meet will be moving back here. It'll be every other year. So if our track is ready next fall, we will host that here. We are going to be hosting boys and girls swim here for sections. That'll be every other year. And we're looking at trying to get some of the basketball tournaments back here. That right now, it's a fight between some of the Duluth area schools and them not wanting to move that up here. Maybe it'll be every other year. So we would host it 1 year and then give it back to them 1 year. So especially when
I spoke to that with the MSHL rep, Walt Holtela up here, and asked him to look into that for us too. And then former superintendent John Larrick said he would too, but it's based on these titles, 1, 2, or But I said at least we could try to get it back to every other year. So yeah, they're looking in that way too.
Yeah, so that hopefully we will get that in writing, and that's working with that region secretary, Chad Stowe's call. So and hopefully we'll be able to get some games back into the memorial building.
Mr. Turner, if you think that, when the time's right, if, a letter of support from the board, we might want to do a joint letter with the city and, explain the need and explain what we're asking. So, I'm sure that the board would support that. So
I think that'll be coming up in our spring meetings here in May and June. So,
I didn't mean title, I meant Class A, double A, that, like it is.
Hockey?
I
mean, it used to be here every other year, and now we don't get anything.
Yeah, hockey is its own animal. So to be brutally honest, with Rockridge opening that new arena and our boys and girls teams played in there and the sections, it'll be tough for us to get hockey back over here. There was talk when I was talking to Josh Lamp and AD over there that they would be fine with going every other year, but again, it's pulling it out of the Enzo arena. So.
And that was going to be my question. When we say every other year, does that mean every other year north and south? So north we would alternate, so it would be basically every 4th year, because it would be in Virginia, I'm assuming.
For hockey, that rotation would, you're right. I mean, it would look like every 3rd year. For hockey, it would rotate that way.
Yeah.
And maybe we'd do something different as we sat down and talked about boys and girls, how they would do it that way. But yeah, we're early in the talks for hockey. Nobody wants to give up hockey because it does bring in a ton of revenue when it's down there. So.
I mean, and just, throwing that out there is that if you do ask for a letter of support, and we could talk about all those activities. I mean, maybe there's other activities I'm not even thinking about, but just make that case, and I'm sure that the city council would support that also.
We're bringing cross country back too, so we're going to host 2A, the section 2A championship, and they want us to host the 7A too, but I don't know if the golf course will allow us to have that many people on there at one time, just because of the damage it will do. So for sure, we got the cross-country section meet for 2A and possibly 1A if the golf course is okay with that.
We got 2 golf courses. We have 2 golf courses.
I know, but the one is the best for that meet. So,
Well, I have you up there too. One quick, there's a rumor going around, and I hate rumors, but turfing Nyberg. I understand there's some talk about looking at the baseball field with the city and maybe turfing that field? Have you heard anything?
I haven't heard anything about
Okay,
that.
and you didn't hear it from me.
I am working with new Nick, and I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his last name, but we're looking at a project where we're going to kind of digitalize our Hall of Fame and then having that in the memorial building here in the high school and at the Lincoln, and you can actually go up and interact with the Hall of Fame and be able to go through, and it'll have multiple things in it. So that's a project. I haven't heard about the turf, but
Okay.
I know that project is on the table. So
Well, comes down to money.
yeah, and we're looking to revamp our weight room and invest. We got a couple people that are looking to put some money forward so we can buy new equipment and maybe paint the weight room, and then put some new equipment, put a strip of field turf down the middle so students will be able to do some agility stuff in there, and just make it look a little bit better, and then also put up some big screens. So the screens aren't for TV, they're for the workouts for the day, so then they don't have to have any paper. They'll just be able to look at the screens and get their workouts in. So.
I have one more thing. I mean to put you on the spot, we don't get a chance to talk to you very often.
No, that's fine.
Locker rooms out at the, we're putting all the money into the new field, we're doing everything. Has there been talk about
So I've been
the three groups getting together and maybe expanding the locker room out there?
Yeah, so I've been talking with Mr. Howard and what he can do for us with his shop class and building lockers and what that cost would look like. Wood just skyrocketed, so that before the pandemic, the cost of wood was pretty cheap, and we could have got away pretty cheap making that. But right now, next year would be where we would try to get that as a class project to get those locker rooms.
Well, I guess the question I have is that there was some talking, in fact, I think this board talked about it at one time. You have the quarterback club, you have the track, you have the soccer, all will be using that new field out there. That girls track, boys track. That locker room is not going to be sufficient. That'll be basically for football. I guess my understanding is that the groups were going to look at fundraising or using some of the existing money like soccer and some of those programs to add on to that. So you have a separate female locker room and a male locker room.
So I haven't had a chance to get all of our booster clubs together. That is on my radar, to put them all together and talk about what our next steps are, because I would like to move away from so many separate fundraisers and try to do a unified fundraiser, and then smaller ones that would help out the different sports. But the locker room situation is on the radar, but I haven't had a lot of talks about the locker rooms.
Thanks. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's fine. Fire
One
away.
thing with that, Mr. Turner, and just maybe to also remind me, is when we get to that point, is both the Early Childhood Project and the Achiever Project is coming in on budget. So that means that we have a contingency for both of those projects. It's not, it's not a huge chunk of money, but there's some money that might be a good use of it when we get done. I know the other thing was maybe an update to that press box.
Yeah.
And the bathrooms underneath the press box, that's, so we have to wait. But just remind me when we get to that point, that might be a good use of those funds.
Just looking at that, it would be nice to extend that out a little bit and have maybe a third locker room out there. So, yeah. But during the season, so football would be out there in the fall, but, they still could share it with
We can still put the visiting team in the old garage out there like we used to have.
I remember that. Yeah, when I coached that for Million.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that garage is getting some added square footage to it also, I believe. I think that's a project that Mr. Howard's also got on his radar for that constructions class. So.
Yeah, because being able to store that equipment in there and not get it damaged with mice living in it in the winter. So, yeah. Now you threw me on a lot. Sorry. I can't remember that. So, do you have any questions of me?
I think they did enough for you. Thank you.
All right.
Or just before Mr. Turner leaves, one thing, Mr. Turner, and I can't believe you didn't lead with this, is that Mr. Turner has a big part in the spring play that's coming up here, that next, is it Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday matinee, so he's got many, many lines, big role, so if you get a chance to come out and watch him play.
I think our superintendent has a part in that too.
I only have one line though, so I'm not a starlet.
But and I'm just going to tell you, yes, I'm not a very good actor, but I'm doing my part. Thank you for mentioning that.
I was going to put a plug in, yeah.
Very good. Any committee report? We'll go to item D, COVID updates.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I guess I'm going to start, I mean, I have a report ready and I can continue to do this with you, and if the board would like to see it. But I mean, our numbers aren't really moving. We're pretty low and we've been pretty low. I could give you a report and continue, or maybe we could watch it, and if things start to rise, then I come back and bring that COVID report back. Because I mean, when you hear it today, it's been pretty steady since February where we're at. And hopefully, the end of the school year is coming. I think I heard there's about 30 days left in this school year. I don't know if that's correct, but hopefully we'll make it to the finish line here without any more problems. But the biweekly number at the county is 6.3 this week. It's going to move to 6.7 next week, so it's also pretty steady in our area. We've had for the week of 4/16 through 4/20, we've had 2 students and 1 staff at the high school that are newly confirmed cases. 0 students, 0 staff at Lincoln, 0 students, 0 staff at Greenhaven, and 1 student and 0 staff at the Washington. So our district totals today are 3 students and 1 staff that are in isolation that have tested positive. 0 are close contacts, staff or students that are still attending school. 17 students are out with symptoms, testing, waiting for results. And most of these have been at the high school, these kids that are out waiting on test results. But there's also just so many things going around the community, from strep to RSV to, there's lots of things. So I guess my question would be, Mr. Chair, is I can certainly continue to report, but unless we saw something change dramatically, maybe we could put it on hold for a little while.
I would think put it on as needed.
Okay.
If one of us wants to call up and see if we see something going on, we'll put it on.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to item 8, administrative business. Sir Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
Item A is a motion to approve the resolution to accept donations, including the North Hibbing Lincoln School clock donation from Michael Kuka to be placed in the Hibbing High School library, and $2,180 in donations from multiple donors to support the Hibbing High School band in memory of David Larrick.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director Egan, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item B is a motion to approve payment number 12 to Max Grade Construction in the amount of $321,304.23 for work completed on the Early Learning Center project.
So moved.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item C is a motion to approve payment number 1 to Max Grade Construction in the amount of $21,229.65 for work completed on the Lincoln and Greenhaven long-term facilities project.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item D is a motion to discontinue a 1.0 FTE job number 65 in-school suspension supervisor position in the AFSCME bargaining unit effective June 6, 2022.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, just because this is something a little bit out of the ordinary. We don't typically discontinue positions, but just maybe to talk about this quickly. So we had a retirement, the person that held this role, and we are filling it as a temporary position until the end of the school year. But with the 7-period day that we have with our teachers, this would be a role that can be picked up by the teaching staff going forward. They have duty hours, so the position
So
the
there will
role
be
will
somebody
stay
there.
changed, but it won't be in the ASP group.
Good, I'm glad you clarified. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you.
Item E is a motion to create a speech language pathologist assistant position within the ASME bargaining unit.
So moved.
Or
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Egan. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Item F is a motion to approve the letter of understanding between ISD number 701 and AFSCME AFL-CIO Local 480 related to job number 70, speech language pathologist assistant position within the union effective with the 2022-2023 school year.
So moved.
Word.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Egan. Any discussion?
Maybe just quickly again, because this isn't something that we do at every meeting, but this is a new position within the AFSCME group. We currently fill this role, and I believe Mr. Lutzka sent you a little background on the information, but we currently fill it on a contractual basis. So this would be putting that position back into that AFSCME group, or creating it in the AFSCME group, and then this letter of understanding basically just defines that. So the board must first create the position, and then the AFSCME group accepts it into the group, gives it a job number, and they'll vote on it, I believe, tomorrow night. So it's more of a formality than anything. We have the position, we have the role. It's kind of a swap on cost for the district. It's not really a savings, and it's not a greater expense either.
Very good, thank you. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you.
Item G is a motion to approve the consulting agreement between Hibbing Public Schools and Social School for EDU for the period July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2025.
So moved.
Chair will support. Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Chair Berklich. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you.
Item H is a motion to approve the speech therapy service contract between ISD number 701 and Speech Partners LLC for the 2022-2023 school year.
So moved. Support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director McLaughlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you.
Item I is a motion to approve Richard Aldridge to act as the identified official with authority for ISD 701 to authorize, review, and rectify users for the Education Identity Access Management System.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion?
Just so you know, I went into the system today, and actually the other day, and I renewed everybody, just in case the board doesn't want me to have this role anymore. So if you said no, everyone on staff is still good for another year with their permission, so.
And I appreciate that, because I know what it's like when things expire.
Yes.
Well, we'll hurry up and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, you got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item J is a motion to approve policy number 401, equal employment opportunity.
So moved.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item K is a motion to approve policy number 402, disability non-discrimination.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item L is a motion to approve policy number 403, discipline, suspension, and dismissal of school district employees.
So moved.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Item M is a motion to approve policy number 418, tobacco-free environment, possession and use of tobacco, tobacco-related devices, and electronic delivery devices.
So moved.
Or
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Egan. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item N is a motion to approve policy number 515, student medication.
So moved. Support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director McLaughlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item O is a motion to approve policy number 521, bullying prohibition.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
And item P is a motion to approve policy number 529, student surveys.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. We'll go to item 10. Discussion items. I see none.
I have one.
Oh, go ahead.
Just to clarify, I had an opportunity to be down at the Lincoln yesterday, and I want to compliment Mr. Vestal and his staff. They had a soft shutdown, lockdown, and it's amazing how well they handle the school and how they do that. It's a tribute to the way they do their job down there. I just want to bring it up because I couldn't even get into the school.
That's a good thing. Not good. That's a good thing, but I mean, good that they do
Just
it.
so happens when I walk in the door, soft lockdown, I go, oh boy, here we go.
That's why they did it.
I think so. So I just wanted to compliment on a great job they did. Didn't have a real clear understanding what's involved in it, but I learned a lot yesterday. So,
That's good to hear.
Thank you.
I think the system's working.
yeah.
Hopefully we don't have to use it. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
The chair will support without objection. The meeting's adjourned. It's 4:18. With that, thank everyone for coming.